Are you struggling with insulin resistance? Has the medical establishment labeled you as pre-diabetic or diabetic? Well, then this show today is for you. I talked to my friend Natalie, who is in charge of creating a new product. Her mission in life is to take down big sugar. And today we go through a discussion of her new product and how it's beneficial for the human body. Are you ready? All right, welcome to the Bruce Poppy Show, everybody. I'm Bruce Poppy, and I'm very happy to have a good friend of mine and slash business partner, one of the affiliate people that I help grow their business because their product is so good. Some of the things that we are becoming more and more aware of as time goes on, and many people have known a lot of this way more than me, way earlier than me, but here in the United States, close to 70, I don't know the exact percentage, 70-ish or so percent of the United States is classified as obese or overweight, which is huge numbers. You also have people, I don't know the exact percentage, but I know it's probably in the 60 to 70% range of people in the United States are classified by the medical establishment as having either pre-diabetes or full-on diabetes. And it's because sugar is in everything, and we're going to talk about this with my friend Natalie, but sugar is way more addictive and way more harmful for you probably than heroin. So it's one of the most addictive substances that has huge detrimental effects on your brain. You're saying, but Poppy, I don't use sugar. I use the sugar substitutes, like aspartame or sweet and low and all these other things. Those things are probably worse off for you than probably regular sugar. So we're going to dive into some of the stuff, talk about health and sugar. I want to introduce my friend Natalie Nicole. Met her and her husband Greg a couple years ago through a mutual friend. And we just, in this movement, the people that I have met as I travel around the country doing events, doing not seminars, but live events, the hundreds of hour podcasting, the people I've met, there's certain people that you meet that you just have that same vibration, you just connect with. That same frequency, and Natalie and Greg are those people. I feel like I've known them my entire lives. So welcome to the Bruce Poppy Show, Natalie. Great to see you.
So good to be with you, Poppy. Again, it's just amazing to connect with people that really feel like family right off the get-go. And of course, your wife and I share the same name. Yeah. So it was destiny. Like we were just definitely going to be very, very close, fast friends.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. So many people don't know you. You're just you've been around for a while, and you've been in the health space, the health and wellness space for a very long time. So just give a brief background of some of your health and wellness history and kind of how you got to where you are today with the product we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, this has really been a lifelong mission for me. This is something I eat, sleep, live, breathe, die by, because again, without your health, you don't have anything. And for me, this started because I was trying to find answers to my aunt's health problems. So, being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, primary progressive multiple sclerosis, the medical establishment didn't have any answers for my aunt, and my family was really just kind of left not knowing what to do. And being told, there's no hope, there's nothing we can do for you, just didn't resonate with my aunt. She was like, something's wrong, something's missing. You guys aren't willing to look or dig a little bit deeper. So she took it upon herself to do that. So very early in life, I established that understanding that you are responsible for your own well-being. And if you're going to, give that authority up to somebody in a lab coat or another figurehead, you really put yourself on the back burner. And um, I've been raised to be responsible for all of my actions in life. So taking care of yourself and owning your health was just something that was already instilled within me. So, we looked to alternative therapies. We looked at food as medicine. We looked at all of our options. And it was amazing to see from a very young age, I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years old, to see how people will turn on you if you don't get in line.
Mm.
So, like this track of behavior, it extends across all things, whether it's politics, medicine. Just as soon as you step outside of that box, I saw how people would come down on you. And my aunt got it from all corners. She got it from the medical establishment. She also got it from our own family. And, so my aunt and I kind of became the black sheeps of the family because I was attached to the idea that we have to find an answer. So her and I locked arms and we were just like, we're going to explore every option. And it became my life's mission. And I told her I would never stop looking for answers, solutions. If I can extend your life by a few days or, improve the quality of your life or eradicate this disease entirely, that's my life's mission. And that's just something that stuck with me. So unfortunately, even after losing my aunt, my mission has now turned to the focus of everybody else. It's how can I help other people regain control of their own life, their own health, and help people to realize that you have everything that you need within you to be your own health authority and your advocate.
Absolutely,
So,
100%. And
yeah.
you not only talk about that stuff, but you live a lot of it too. You and your husband Greg have owned businesses, health and wellness businesses. When you've done that type of stuff, and also you yourself have been in the competitive bodybuilding space for a while as well.
Yeah, so like you said, my husband and I have owned a wellness center. We operated that for about 7 years, and we closed it just due to the fact of we needed to get out of Ohio because Ohio was locking down and closing down businesses with this whole COVID madness. And we're like, we couldn't get on board with that. I mean, we were at the point where our clients were like, well, coming through the back door. It's like what you're doing is helping us to heal our bodies. Like we were running detox programs and wellness services. But yeah, I literally had a list of clients that were like, block out the windows, we'll come in through the back door. It's like this is essential care for us. So, what you're doing is essential work. So we decided to shut that down. We moved to Florida. But during that whole time that we had the wellness center, I was a competitive bodybuilder and reached to the pro levels. But again, it's just I had to pick and choose my battles. That's literally a full-time job, training 2 to 3 times a day, eating every 2 hours, but I was still owning and operating a wellness center and taking care of, 70 plus appointments a day. So it was a lot of strain on me, and I could see my own health starting to deteriorate. So I had to shut that one down. But through the years, we've just evolved and we've gotten to the position that we are now with our new product. So,
It's kind of crazy. You think the United States of America, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, that you would have to almost practically resort to a underground health
mhm.
system because the government's wanting to shut down because of some flu virus or whatever you want to call it. We don't want to get off on that thing and get kicked off of
Yeah.
YouTube straight away for talking about that. But that's just kind of the wealthiest planet or wealthiest country on the planet, and we have some of the worst health outcomes that on the planet. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's something that, again, you would think that all people would be able to rally behind these efforts to make America healthy again. It's just we're falling so fast, and it's something that we really need to stop. We need to like say enough is enough. We can just look over the trajectory of the past few decades and see there has been an absolute decline in our health, but yet we have more specialists, more medications, more doctors, more, diagnoses than ever before. But at the same token, it's like early diagnosis isn't doing anything for you. You're just getting more drugs sooner in life, but your outcomes are not improving at all. So it's time to blow this system up and like start from scratch and say we need to redo this now.
blow that up as a metaphor. We're talking
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
figuratively.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a broken
It
system,
is.
just
It's
like
100% is broken, and you can, people can do their own research into the history and when things started to really go downhill. Back in the early 1900s, and a certain person named Rockefeller.
mm,
That whole situation. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact.
yeah.
And you and I've shared some of my health challenges. I've shared some on the show as well. But one of the biggest things that has helped me is when and I'm not recommending this for anybody. This is my own personal testimony. When I decided that I was going to be my own best self advocate for my health,
Yep.
and I started questioning and researching and doing other things, uh, my doctors almost became irrelevant.
Hmm.
I was on, close to 10 different cardiac meds because of my stuff. 2018, I nearly died. And then since then, and returning around and gotten on natural stuff and gotten toxins out of the house and still a work in progress, I feel better now than I've ever been. It's been almost 2 years since I've had any cardiac pharmaceutical medication. And my sometime at some point I'll share my entire story. It's mind blowing. I should be dead multiple times over from cardiac stuff. But yeah, I feel better now than I ever have in my entire life because of me taking the reins and being in charge of my own health and not outsourcing it to somebody else.
Yeah, and it's a process, Poppy, like you've seen for yourself. It's literally like peeling the layers of the onion. I mean, this has been a lifetime of accumulation of damages, of toxic exposure, of negative thought patterns. There's so many elements to our wellness. And I understand that people want fast solutions because we live in this world where everybody's adjusted to Amazon, it's going to be here the next day, or your doctor's going to prescribe a pill and you're going to feel better in a few minutes because those, numbing properties take effect very quickly because, they're hitting you with drugs. But to own your own health and to start recognizing and reversing the damage, it's going to take time. But if you allow yourself that grace and if you're patient, the outcome is so much better and it'll last you a lifetime. So, I mean, it's just we all have to put in the work but learning and unlearning the negative, all the false doctrine that we've been given. Really the hard part. And that's
Right.
my mission is to help people to learn the systems and learn how to heal yourself.
Right. I mean, I think that's probably harder to unlearn stuff that's been ingrained in us, programmed us our entire lives, than it is to learn something new.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's generational. I mean, we've been told the same lies. Your grandmother told you the lies that she was given, your mother told you lies that she was given, and you adopted it from the society that you were raised in. So it's like it's a lot to offload.
Got a little tickle in my throat. Apologize. So tell us, this mission of health and wellness and turning people's lives around has led you down this path to where you are now. And so let's talk a little bit about the new product that you guys are putting out there.
Yeah.
It's called Dulsa is the name of it. And it's a sweetener. And I don't claim to know everything about it. I've tried it. It is crazy good. I've always hated the taste of like diet sodas or any of these other fake artificial sweeteners that just leaves a dry, nasty aftertaste in your mouth. And I was never a fan of that, so I was always going straight for the real stuff, the sugar. But tell us how this Dulce stuff came about. How you, because I know there was a previous product that you were working with, and this was kind of an involvement
Yeah.
into what you have currently, right?
Yeah, so we had originally created a sweetener, and there were a combination of beneficial ingredients in it, but again, taste profile. It was like there's just that one little thing that was off, and the one thing that was off was the stevia that was in it. And again, stevia, you can get different grades of stevia. Some are going to be way more harsh with that like that aftertaste, and some are a little bit more neutral, but for the most part, people have a sensitivity towards that taste. It's almost like cilantro. Somebody either loves cilantro or hates cilantro, but there's like this chemical process within the body where it's like you get that taste and it's just like Nope. So we went back to the drawing board and I knew that we could make this better, but I also wanted to amplify all of the health beneficials of the product too. So I insist on everything has to be organic, everything has to be clean, everything's coming from a plant source. So I was mindful in creating this to make sure that it would be open to all audiences. If you were vegetarian, if you were vegan, if you were just, you know, wanting things that were just completely clean, free from any kind of additives. I don't use additives in any of my products. So I started getting into product production and crafting products because we all need, I know we needed something to replace or fill in this gap, but I didn't like the options that were out there. And, much like yourself, anything that's artificial has that weird chemical taste to it. Um, and the natural sweeteners, if you flip over the label and you look, even the natural sweeteners normally have chemicals added into them because they're fillers, they're bulking agents. And yeah, it saves the company money. It makes it look like you got a lot more product for your hard-earned dollars, but the fact of the matter is those sweeteners are oftentimes worse than actually taking in sugar. So wanted to, again, like I said, make it better than anything else that was out there, and also to offer something that was totally unique in the space of sweeteners because our sweetener does a lot more than just sweeten your coffee, your tea, or your food. It's actually several health supplements wrapped into the body of a sweetener. So the version that we have now, when I was beta testing this in my kitchen, I literally ate an entire canister of it. It was just like when you said the taste is crazy good, it literally makes you think like I've had something like this. It reminds me of something in my childhood, perhaps, like maybe like a marshmallow, maybe like a piece of like wedding cake. It literally tastes like a cake or a pastry. And when I landed on that taste profile and I couldn't get my hands out of this per se sugar jar, my husband was just like, okay, I think we have it. So yeah, I landed on this and it was a
Natalie,
beautiful
step
iteration.
away from the Dulsa.
Literally, I mean, he was like, get out of that jar. What are you doing? And I was just like, it's just so good. I love it.
Well, fantastic. So Dulsa is different, way
Yeah,
different than anything that anybody has maybe ever experienced. You'd mentioned
yeah,
stevia because a lot of people are on the natural kick,
yeah,
wanting to get away from the aspartame, the sucraloses, all those different things. And stevia seems to be the mainstream. I do those air quotes. Type of natural alternative
yeah.
to some of these artificial chemical stuff. But before we get into that, let's back up. The art people who are diet soda, they'll go to McDonald's and order 3 Big Macs and a large fry, a supersized fry, and give me a gallon of Diet Coke with that thing as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of the detrimental effects, because I understand that all the synthetic stuff that we consume, our body, it's a foreign substance to our body. Our body does not know how to handle it, and it causes problems.
Yeah, well,
Go ahead.
what's really funny to touch on what you just said with that example about, people, it's really unfortunate to see people make this mistake of they're like, well, okay, so I'll get the diet soda so I can take in more of this.
Yeah.
What they don't understand is the chemicals that are in that diet soda literally amplify those carbohydrates and those processed sugars that are in your food, those fast-acting carbohydrates, and it literally makes you highly insulin resistant. It's funny, but they had done a test. I think it was cell metabolism in 2020. They did a test or a study where they found that sucralose, i.e., Splenda, which is in everything, for teenagers, it affects their bodies in a totally different way. And due to ethical concerns, they actually had to halt the study. This is a 2-week study, and they found that the children were becoming highly insulin resistant when they took in fast-acting carbohydrates with sucralose. It was amazing. They literally had to shut it down. They saw similar problems within the adult population, but what it did to younger adults and teenagers, it was amazing. But yeah, due to ethical concerns, they actually shut it down. So when people make that mistake of saying, "I'll get the Diet Coke and I'll have more of this," you're actually causing more damage to your body doing it that way than just saying, "You know what? I'm just going to have a small Coke."
Do you happen to recall? I mean, I don't want to hold it to who was the people behind the studies? That particular.
I I can't remember the name of the scientists that were involved in it, but
So
I
it was
want
an
to say it was,
independent
yeah,
scientist
it was
that,
an independent
right?
study.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So
because you
I
said the
want to say it was
word,
Selmatel.
because of ethical concerns,
Yeah.
they stopped this study because it was having such a detrimental effect on the people within the study.
The
Okay.
teenagers were becoming insulin resistant within that
S-
2 week time frame.
So ethical concerns. I want to spend a little bit of time on that. Oh dang, my phone's blowing up. So ethical concerns. One of the things that really that people need to be aware of, and it's becoming more and more since Robert Kennedy Jr., Maha, in the HHS, Health and Human Services arena, but he's been, talking about this for a while. Several years ago, I came to the realization that the FDA, right, the three-letter agency, the government agency, is supposed to be looking out for the consumers like you and I.
Mhm.
The things that they allow in the food and other items that we consume and use on a daily basis are banned and illegal in most other countries, especially a lot of European countries and things like that. Many of the ingredients that I'll say that again in English for those people in the back, many of those ingredients that they say are safe for us to consume are banned and illegal in other countries. So when you
Yeah.
talk about ethical concerns, these companies that manufacture these items, they have zero ethics because they know how to make the safer products, but it is more costly for them to do so because this the one that keeps popping in my mind is Fruit Loops, right?
Yeah.
With all the dyes and all the sugars and all that stuff. There's a Fruit Loops that they sell over in Europe that does not have all the dyes and chemicals and all the BS, the synthetic stuff that's detrimental to our bodies, especially children. And so they sell that over there, but over here in America, hey, these Americans, they're a hardy bunch. They can handle, all these, synthetic additives, and they put even a label on them. It's they're gaslighting us. It's GAS, generally accepted as safe. That there's
Well,
been no studies, no information about any potential detrimental effects on the people that are consuming these items. But hey, they're generally accepted as safe, and
yeah.
it's criminal.
Yeah, so actually grass generally recognized as safe.
Yeah,
And so over in Europe, they only have 400 items that are generally recognized as safe as food additives. Here in the United States, we have well over 10,000 chemical additives that are generally recognized as safe.
I'm not real good at
So
math, but 400 to 10,000, that's a
that's
multi-1,000% increase.
Yeah, that's a huge swing. So yeah, I mean, again, it's everything, and again, I'm trying to cleave off a segment of poisons that, again, we have so much work to do to get all this stuff out of our food, out of our air, out of our water, but I'm trying to make an impact here in an area that literally everybody uses sweeteners. Sweeteners are in everything. So I'm not just going into the consumer space. I'm actually going into the manufacturing side of things. So I'm working with food and beverage manufacturers to try to help them to pull out the sucralose, the dextrose, the maltodextrin, all of these artificial additives, the high fructose corn syrup, and offer them a solution where they can say, hey, we don't have to increase our bottom dollar or our bottom line that much, but we can pull out this stuff and put something in there that's actually going to enhance our product, make it better, and actually help to, provide some health benefits in the same time. So, you're seeing a mild switch from some companies, like they're actually being proactive here because HHS and Kennedy, they're actually, they're making some sweeping, reforms here, and companies are trying to get ahead of this curve because they see, yeah, it's going to take time to roll it all out, but companies are actually taking the initiative to pull some of these things out before they're forced to take it out. So again, we, the consumers, are going to have to make sure we keep on applying that pressure, demanding better from these manufacturers. But I want to be one of those people that are offering up solutions, not just complaining about the problems.
Right,
So I thought, hey, nothing better than me getting in the kitchen and actually creating something, doing a little research, and finding out how can I be a conduit for change.
right. And I love that you say, taking that initiative. And us as consumers, we consumers, we're the ones driving the bus. We're the ones with the money, right? We're the ones that go to these different, these stores and buy these manufacturers' products. But we need to realize and understand that there's more and more, as time goes by, more and more alternatives to doing the things that we have done our entire lives. Because what's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting some different results. So if we want to see change, we're going to be the ones that have to drive the bus. So rather than wait around for the government or these companies to wise up and, like Natalie said, kind of get ahead before they're forced to kind of move things forward on their own initiative, we can take our own initiative and we can stop using this stuff and seek out. That's why I'm doing this show today, is to bring this information to you guys about this product, Dulsa. And the website has been scrolling around along the bottom there. It's DulsaLife.com. And I have affiliate relationship. I get a very tiny percentage if somebody goes and buys something, so it's full transparency. But yeah, you can get a discount by going DulsaLife.com/Poppy and check this stuff out. Try it out. It's crazy good. Like I said, you will not be disappointed. So let's talk about the products itself, because the sweetener aspect. Everybody loves sweet stuff. I have a sweet tooth myself, and you seem to be addicted to Dulsa. Greg has to tie you up and hide the stuff from you anymore. but there's actually health benefits to this, because even if you were to use some sugar, not the synthetic stuff, even pure cane sugar, that still has a detrimental effect on the processes in our body if we consume too much of it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the detrimental effects of continuing on the path. I know inflammation is huge. You can talk a little bit about that. And I also know, because I've had several people, very good friends of mine, got involved or had some situation with that C word. And we know that sugar is like steroids for that C word. So, people, this is an alternative that we can change. So let's talk a little bit about the detrimental effects of continuing on with either regular sugar or even some of these artificial synthetic alternatives. How can that negatively affect your body?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think most people now have at least a baseline understanding of mitochondria. This is a buzzword now that we've all been exposed to, but it's your cellular power. This is the powerhouse for your cells, your mitochondria. And all sugars and sugar alternatives, all these chemical sweeteners, they negatively impact your mitochondria. So they're literally knocking out your cell's ability to create energy. So without cellular energy, you're losing life. You're losing your life force. So that's one of the major, major problems with it. And mitochondrial dysfunction manifests in all aspects when it comes to looking at your health. Like you said, issues with inflammation. Sugar is going to wreak havoc in the body, cause inflammation. And again, inflammation, there's an inflammatory response that's healing to your body, but a constant state of inflammation is really, really bad for your health. So, we've really got to be mindful of those things. And, your gut health, your gut microbiome takes a serious beating, especially with the artificial sweeteners. It just decimates your gut bacteria. And again, these were all aspects of health that we were looking at when we were creating the Dulsa. When we were putting together the ingredient list, it was, let's look at mitochondria, let's look at gut health, let's look at detoxifying, not just pulling heavy metals and chemicals out of your system, but detoxifying on a cellular level, clearing out cellular waste. Because these are all things that are happening to your body. Like I said, we have all of these assaults coming into our system: air, water, food, processed foods, the glyphosate, all of these things that are wreaking havoc on our systems. So these were all things that we needed to look at when we were trying to, like I said, bolt on all these health beneficials, how we could make our sweetener unlike any other sweetener on the market. So, when looking at all of those things that are taking, impact, we start to add in those beneficial ingredients that would directly impact all those systems of the body. It's like you're destroying your minerals when you're taking in these artificial sweeteners. Like you're breaking down all areas of your health. So yeah, and I mean, it's just people don't, I think, always recognize like some of the problems that sugar is causing. I mean, like when we look at things like PCOS, this is something that affects so many women right now. And it's just this dysregulation of the hormones. And that's caused by the overuse of sugar. So it's like people are running out and getting all these hormone therapies. You have men who are dealing with low testosterone. You have men who have an overabundance of estrogen. Again, let's look at sugar. Sugar directly impacts all those systems. You have guys who are running out and getting these little blue pills that are causing severe damage to their hearts. Again, if you look at sugar's impact on even your circulatory health, all of these things lead back upstream to sugar. Sugar, like you said when starting off, is so damaging, worse than heroin. And people are like, well, you're not going to just like keel over and die when you have some sugar. No. But again, the cascading negative health consequences that are affecting you throughout your entire life, let's round up all the medications that you've been put on to manage all these health problems. And they're normally stemming from insulin resistance.
Yep. No, and that insulin resistance. I mean, I was part of a program, and one of my side hustles it's called R3, and it's a weight loss lifestyle program, and R3 stands for reset, reintroduce, and real life. And they were starting this. It's a challenge for us to go through this process and kind of get your body, you clean out your body. It's a detox first phase. And then you start to reintroduce things and you start to learn your body, what foods affect your body, your energy, all kinds of different things. And that insulin resistance is a huge thing. I even found out there's even the body shape. There's a certain body shape. The men, have that, they call it a beer belly, right? That's an insulin resistance type of situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they were talking about the sugar that's in your bloodstream, and what insulin's job is goes around. If there's too much sugar, insulin kind of collects it up and discards it, right? But if there's too much, imagine the insulin is somebody with a suitcase, and they're collecting all the sugar in your blood. Well, there's so much of it nowadays because sugar is in every freaking thing. That insulin their suitcase is full and they can't get rid of it fast enough. And so it gets worn out. So you become resistant to the job that insulin can do. And hence your blood sugars go higher. And then then you go to the doctor and they say, oh, you're pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
You're pre-diabetic. Well, what does that mean? When you're almost a diabetic, if you don't you diet and exercise, well, diet, if you look at the stuff, even unless you're just eating whole, natural, raw type foods, there's sugar in every freaking thing, all kinds of, I became very aware to this when I started looking at labels and looking on the back of labels and the added sugar, that you wouldn't think something that would have sugar in it, but the added sugars in there, it's just crazy high. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Just look at your ketchup. I mean,
oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, look at how much sugar is in one serving of ketchup. And I'm sorry if you're like me and you get a pile of fries or a big juicy burger, you're not putting on a tablespoon of sugar.
I want to know who came up with these serving sizes, because most of them are bullshit. Because I could eat 10 or 12 servings, of what their recommended serving size is. It's it's about labels and compliance. The labeling system here in the United States is all smoke and mirrors anyway. If you think you're getting organic stuff by going to the store, 9 times out of 10 you're not. Unless it's grown in a hermetically sealed type of situation, it's very, very difficult to get truly organic stuff, just because the environment stuff moves around in the air. You just really never know. But yeah, the insulin aspect, and this has been huge for me. This is a newer mindset shift for me. I've always kind of known that sugar was bad, but hey, I'm indestructible. I joke around. I'm like the Highlander, man. I can't die unless you take off my head. So that's the joking around that I do with it. But
But then the reality of it,
absolutely,
is none of us are indestructible.
No, not at all. And I've witnessed that a few times, and it's not a pleasant space to be in. But being on this challenge, I started talking about the R3 challenge. Being on this challenge just over a week, I have known myself, because I've drastically reduced, almost eliminated any processed type foods. If it's in a can or a box, it's usually not good for you.
Yep. Avoid it.
Yep. So I've been drastically. I still love a little bit of soda when I have my meal. So instead of buying a 2-liter, I'll buy the 20-ouncer, and that'll last me 3-4 days now. So I'm drastically reducing. It's a process, and it's a huge addiction. I mean, the withdrawals that you go through, the headache, the irritability. I mean, it is seriously like coming off of cocaine or heroin, Just if you just cut off your sugar thing right
Yep.
all the way, just that cold turkey thing, you're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't work for most people that way. And I mean, you can see how people joke about this, like, oh, I've got to have that. Like it
Yeah,
just even when like their health is seriously being impacted, they're like, but I've got to have that. And people try to joke about it, but this is a serious issue and it is an addiction and it isn't something that people should be shamed for. I never use shame as a tactic when talking to people about food and addictions and sugar and even things like alcohol and stuff. You would never, put somebody down for admitting to you that they have an addiction to alcohol or drugs or something like that. You would want to be supportive to them. So the last thing we should be doing is tell them it's not that big of a deal.
yeah,
Just have a little bit, a little bite, a little bit in moderation. It's okay.
oh
No,
yeah,
it's like heroin in moderation is still going to do the same thing to you. So
no,
let's not cheapen this and say a little bit in moderation is fine. Not when it comes to your health. We're not when you're trying to make sure that you're here for your children or your grandchildren or for your spouse or for yourself. Yes, you want to be healthy for yourself.
absolutely, yeah. That everything is good in moderation, I believe, is
That
the
that's
lie from the pit of hell.
yeah,
And I've been guilty of that myself. Complete transparency, and this is part of the reason what I'm doing on this new channel, the Bruce Poppy Show, is we want to unleash excellence in all areas of people's lives, not just in the mental stuff or a lot of people think of success as financial. No, we're talking the entire. My friend Kirk Ashley talks about holistic, not HO holistic, but W whole, your whole entire life.
hmm
Unleash excellence in your relationships and your finances and your health, because you can be the wealthiest person in the world, but if you got shit health, ain't gonna be able to do anything with that. So health is probably number one on the range or the ranking of things that we really should be taking a lot more seriously, especially now that more and more information is available, right? Because eons ago, 20 years ago, before the internet, we only knew what we knew, and we didn't know what we didn't know. And it's things we were led to believe that we could trust the information that was coming from our government. Well, newsflash, that's becoming less and less true every single day. It's a complete smoke and mirrors. It's lies were completely manipulated. All that. That's a topic for a different day. But health is huge, and so that's why I want people to unleash excellence. And you're the very first person that I'm having on talking on my show talking about the health aspect, because this is so important. And sugar is probably the worst thing, one of the easiest things that we can get a handle on in our life, but at the same time it's difficult. Anything, I always say anything worthwhile is never easy. It's simple. Making the
right.
changes in our lives is a simple process. It's not easy. There's going to be some pain, and so you rather deal with the pain of changing, and either your mindset and your habits, deal with that pain now, or you deal with the pain of regret because a year or two, 5, 10 years from now, you're laying in a hospital bed, clinging on to life because you didn't take some simple actions today that could have potentially removed that situation from your life. So this is why this is so important. I can't stress enough about the health aspect, and this product is not just some fly by night deal. Natalie's been working on this. It's been her life's mission. Her mission is to take down big sugar.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem. So on that, we talked a lot about the negative stuff. So now not only is Dulsa a good sweetener, but it actually has health benefits. It will
Sure.
actually improve your health by switching and using this product. So let's talk about some of the health benefits that
Yeah.
people can you get or obtain by just using this product on a regular basis.
Yeah, so now let's make sure that we're very clear for all of the regulatory people out there. You and I are not doctors. We're
Nope.
not pretending to be doctors. We're not offering medical advice or anything of that nature. I'm just letting you know how I manage my own wellness, and I'm here to support your health. Not here to improve it. Only you can improve your health. I'm here to support you in your journey to better health. So, with that in mind, when I crafted this sweetener, I thought it would be really good
I'm
if
gonna
I
grab
would
my
look.
bag real quick.
Yeah, sure. Yep, that right there.
Go ahead.
So, when I was crafting this, again, looking at gut health because gut health truly is the central hub for everything. And death really begins in the colon and all these things, but like your gut is directly tied into your immune system. It dictates all of that. So I really want to make sure that we're looking at both prebiotics and probiotics. So the base structure of our sweetener is actually has some really good prebiotic fibers in there. The prebiotics are coming from blue agave inulin and also yacon root extract. So that right there, you're not getting your daily fiber value or anything like that, but it's setting the stage so that your good gut microbes are able to create more good healthy microbes in your system, but also to feed the system. So we've got the prebiotics there, but then we also introduced a spore-based probiotic, which is called Bacillus coagulans. What's really unique about a spore-based probiotic is your stomach acids are not going to kill these probiotics off. Typically, if you go to the health food store and you grab some probiotics off the shelf, they're very sensitive to their environment. So heat kills these probiotics off. Um, Improper handling, and they're getting shuttled all around the country in trucks and heat exposure and cool and all that other stuff that damages them also. But again, the stomach acid just wipes these guys out. And that in turn, you're also going to be dealing with a dominant strain when you buy probiotics. So those get killed off by some of the other strains. So the spore-based probiotic going to make it through the gastrointestinal tract. The acid's not going to kill it off. It's not impacted by either being refrigerated or being on a shelf because it is shelf stable. And it's heat resistant. So I even have people who are baking with our sweetener, and it's not going to kill off all the gut microbes that are, going to be populating and helping your system. So we got prebiotics and probiotics in there. When I was looking at additional sweeteners to add to it, because both of those things do lend themselves to the sweetness, I decided to go with a sweetener called allulose. Allulose is one of the sweeteners that I have in here, and the health implications of allulose are just mind-blowing. Um, a lot of people are probably hearing the buzzwords like Ozempic and tirzepatide and semaglutide and all these GLP-1s. Well, GLP-1s, when taken in those forms, yeah, for diabetics in low measured doses, they were doing some positive things. But when you're using these higher uptick doses to knock body fat down and to lose weight and to knock out your appetite, well, those are leading to some other serious problems that we'll get into afterwards. But the allulose actually acts as a GLP-1, but it does it in a way that it's a low controlled, steady dose versus these high impact shots that are just like destroying people's systems. So the allulose actually helps to keep you feeling satiated. So it's appetite control, but it also helps to lower blood glucose spikes. So people who are trying to be mindful of their blood glucose levels. We have people who are diabetic, who are insulin resistant, who have these concerns. This is actually really beneficial to populations like that, but also too to prevent you from having issues downstream. So the other sweetener that we have in there is also monk fruit. So monk fruit again has fungicides in there. There are some implications with the C word when it comes to looking at things like fungicides, where they've seen some really beneficial things in some clinical studies. Also, too, it has no negative impact on blood glucose either. So it's not going to cause a spike in blood glucose levels, but it lends a really great sweetness to the overall product. On top of that, we use Madagascar vanilla. Madagascar vanilla, again, a beautiful aromatic in there. It doesn't impart a heavy vanilla taste to the sweetener, which is nice, but it just gives a little bit of body and a little bit of depth to the sweetener. And as you can see, like from that scoop the Poppy's got there, it's a tiny, tiny little
So
scoop.
this
That's
is my
about,
pinky finger. I don't have very large hands, but I mean the scoop on this thing is super small.
yeah, that's
And
probably about a quarter of a teaspoon.
yeah. So I mean, anybody's who's getting this stuff, you can go to DulsaLife.com/Poppy and get a discount on it. Start small is my
Yeah.
recommendation. So, start small and work your way up. Because when I first got, I thought, oh, that. So here, just as a perfect example, I wanted to try this out because I like to make spaghetti sauce, right? I love spaghetti. make spaghetti sauce. But I one of my secret ingredients in my spaghetti sauce add a little bit of sugar, right? Because
Yeah.
it knocks down the acidity of the tomatoes and it gives a little bit of sweet, not too much, not a lot. But I said, okay, I'm going to try the Dulsa and rather than regular sugar. So I said, well, this is a big pan of spaghetti. So I put two of those things in there. They were level, two of those little tiny scoopers and it was too much. It
Yeah.
was too much. It made my stuff too sweet. So
Yeah.
I recommend, dialing it back because I mean the bag is a small. Here's the size. Here's my hand. It's 4.2 ounces. 120 grams is what you get in a bag from the website,
Yeah.
and it lasts a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's about a quarter of a teaspoon, that scoop, So on average, people are getting about zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.8 grams. So it's not even a full gram in there. And so a little goes a long way with that. But like I was saying though, the vanilla just imparts a little bit of extra flavor to it, but it doesn't knock anything off. Like if you're having a cup of coffee and you put a scoop of that in there, you're not going to be like, oh, I have a French vanilla coffee.
Right,
It's
right.
it's not like that. So on top of the vanilla, I also have in there a full spectrum fulvic mineral. So when I say a full spectrum fulvic mineral, the fulvic minerals that I have within our sweetener are a patented fulvic mineral. They're actually about 10 times smaller than any other fulvic mineral that's on the market. And it's a totally organic process that they use. The science group that we have that we're working with this is they're just amazing, amazing company. But that is a patented anti-glycation agent. And for people, if you're not aware of what anti-glycation or what glycation in itself is, it's essentially aging. It's sugar causes glycation. Glycation causes rapid aging. So this is a patented anti-glycation agent. So in essence, anti-aging. So the fulvic minerals in here in our sweetener actually act as a type 1 collagen builder. Okay. And also you're getting about 70 trace minerals within your sweetener. And because it's 10 times more potent than other fulvic minerals in there out there on the market space, again, the efficacy of these minerals are outrageous. So you're actually getting a sweetener that behaves as an electrolyte, an antioxidant, and an anti-aging supplement. Okay, that's just one of our ingredients that's in there. So then we also have bamboo silica in there. Again, everything that we did in this product is 100% organic. So we have bamboo silica in there. So we're helping to build on healthy hair, healthy skin, healthy nails, along with the fulvic minerals. And what's really unique about those fulvic minerals is they actually take and shuttle the protein and nutrients into your system about 30 times greater than you would be able to absorb them on their own. So it actually shuttles nutrients into your system. So this is, like I said, unlike any other sweetener that's on the market because you have 100 other options if you just want to sweeten your coffee, your tea, or your food.
Right.
This is behaving as multi-level, health supplements. So
And so you don't, and because the scoop are so small, and you doesn't need a lot when you're doing in a cup of coffee or tea or what that type of stuff. Um, is there a base like dosage or is there a base amount where you can know that you're getting the maximum benefits out of it? I mean, you don't want to be like you and just sit there in front of the TV and just eat the whole stuff with a spoon. But is there what they I guess I wouldn't say recommended dosage, right? Because we're not in the
right,
medical field, but how much could you use? Is there a
yeah.
stacking benefit? Is maybe mainly what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so first I'm going to correct you and say I would never just sit there and arbitrarily eat this in front of the TV because I don't watch TV.
Well,
I got rid
gotcha.
of those things
That's a good one.
long, long time ago. Okay, so
And
that
this is
that's
true.
my
I've been at
husband.
their house and their TV is almost non-existent.
Well, yeah, but my husband has
They have the
his
sports.
80-inch
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
that's in the bedroom that we'll save that for another day. But anyways, I don't watch TV. But so when I did my little N of one test and I consumed an entire jar's worth of it, I will tell you that I was perfectly fine. Now, with that being said, typically people are using a scoop of it here and there. My husband likes his things a little bit sweeter than I do. So if I make him a bullet style coffee, he'll use about 3 scoops of it. For myself, I'm happy with 1 scoop. Totally fine for myself. And I've had some people who have, irritable bowel disease who typically can't use sweeteners. Even things like allulose. I'm working with a doctor who he himself can't use allulose, even though he loves all the science behind allulose, but he personally can't use it because of his severe inflammatory
Hmm.
bowel disease. I gave him our sweetener, and he said he called me up and said, I probably used more than I would have with anything else, and I was totally fine. He wrote back to me about 2 weeks later and told me he used 12 scoops in a day and had no issues with his irritable bowel disease. So that was really impressive. But even my people who have used more than that haven't reported anything back. So any amount of this that you're using, whether it's low scale or higher scale, you're still getting prebiotics, probiotics, fulvic minerals, antioxidants, detoxification properties. So even at 1 scoop, if you just did 1 scoop a day, you're still getting all of those benefits. But again, you can titrate that up. And I didn't have a break-in period. Again, I was batching container after container after container every single day, making new iterations of this. So I was consuming large swatches of this at any given time
Right.
and never had any kind of issue. So,
And being that there is, we use the term concentrate, but it takes so little to
mhm.
be able to get the sweetness that you desire. You do have on the website, DulsaLife.com/poppy, there are 10 recipes. So there is a process now right now that you have going on where you're like kind of testing, because if you're making picking thing some brownie or cookies, right? It calls for a cup of sugar. You don't want to use a cup of Dulsa, right?
Yeah,
So
so a good way to look at the sweetener is, and again, you've got to keep this in mind. The Dulsa is going to act as a flavor enhancer and also a debitterizer. So depending on what you're working with, you might need a little bit more, a little bit less, because it's going to activate other things in your recipe. So if you're familiar with the company RNC Nutrition, Richardson Nutrition, they work with Laetrile B17, incredibly bitter, okay? But they make a nutritional bar. And what they found is they were trying to pull out other sweeteners in there, coconut sugar, honey, whatever it is that they were looking to use in there because they wanted something that was completely sugar-free. So they started playing with the Dulsa. And what they found is they were able to lower some of the other ingredients, the other flavoring ingredients, because the Dulce amplified the
ah,
flavor profiles of everything else. So it's definitely going to take a little alchemy in the kitchen. So I would still let people know that when you're working with Dulce, that one little scoop that's contained within the bag is going to replace a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of sugar. So just keep that in mind when you're playing with it, but you are going to have to experiment with this. People were asking me if I could develop a baking line for it, and it's something that I'm considering. But what you have to keep in mind with that is because I'm using purely just these plant constituents, these botanicals, I'm not using fillers. If I'm to impart a filler, it's probably going to be something that I wouldn't want to put into the product. So I'm not going to put something in there just to bulk the product up, just to make it more
right,
comfortable
right,
or
right.
convenient to use. Like I want this to stay a pure product. So I don't know if I'll be able to do a full-on baking line where it's going to be a 1-for-1 for sugar. So we'll see how that progresses over time. But I'm never going to put something in my product that's going to act as a bulking agent that could be detrimental to people. So
Sure.
it might just be something that it's going to require people to experiment with. But I will tell you this, I have an executive chef of nearly 40 years who is currently writing a cookbook. And what he is
Oh,
using as his primary sweetener in the cookbook is Dulsa.
nice.
So we have somebody who's currently making recipes for entrees, condiments, sauces, desserts, and he's using Dulsa. So very soon here, I'm going to have a complete cookbook that will be available for people. So I'm always looking to partner up with people who are either looking to, again, break the stranglehold of big sugar or work to offer people better solutions. And this chef contacted me when he saw me on a podcast and said, I really want to see if I can work with this because this sounds like something that could be really helpful to people. So these are the kind of relationships that I'm forming over time. And that book should be out here very soon. So I would just encourage people to just keep an eye out on either our socials or the website because that's going to be coming down very, very soon.
Right. And the website, of course, DulsaLife.com/Poppy. And on that website, there is, 10 recipes. You got a coffee, low carb pancakes, vegan banana bread, keto chocolate mug cake. It sounds really good. Sweet and tangy salad dressing, berry smoothie bowl, sugar-free lemonade, chocolate chip cookies, boom shakalaka.
Yeah.
Sweetened Greek yogurts, low sugar barbecue sauce. That's like ketchup, man. There's just crazy
Yeah.
amounts of sugar in barbecue sauce. So I mean, there's some recipes to get you started. And like you said, if you're a baker extraordinaire, there's going to be some alchemy. But I would say, get this product, start playing around with it, and then
Yeah.
when that cookbook hits, that's going to be amazing. That's a fantastic idea, and I
Yeah.
love it.
And you know what, Pop? I'm sorry, Poppy, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was gonna say, hey, if any of your people that are listeners are into baking or making beverage recipes, whatever, if you just like to play in the kitchen, reach out to us. I mean, get some dulsa. Let's do a little collab where I'm helping to support like some of your recipes. If you want some of my people to go and check out your social medias, I'm happy to do that because again, this is about learning it and sharing. So the more we can do this with each other, I think the better off we're all going to be. So I would love to work with some people who like to dabble in the kitchen. Like reach out to me.
Right. And even on the website, you can sweeten. It says sweeten your inbox. You can get like a newsletter. There's a community of Dulsa people. And is all the socials on the website, or are those separate?
Yeah, you should be able to access them all from the website, but I'm very easy to find. It's just at DulsaLife. So DulsaLife, DulsaLife. You'll find us on X, you'll find us on Facebook and Instagram. I have somebody working on the TikTok thing. That's a world I can't even wrap my head around right now. I went to log in and I felt brain cells dying as soon as I opened up the screen. I was like, this is not for me. But
Yeah,
I'm assured that TikTok does have a really good reach to help people who are in the health space. So
absolutely.
I have somebody else helping out with that. But our product is currently restricted and banned on TikTok for some reason that
What?
I can't wrap my head around. But yeah, we're banned currently on TikTok.
Banned like you couldn't open an account, or you can't like put it through there as a on the TikTok shop, or you can't sell it, or what?
It's in a restricted category.
Interesting. Huh.
It's amazing how many things are in a restricted category, but how many things are not that really should be
Right.
restricted.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. For sure. And
yeah,
so you're talking about the relationships and the collaborations you're done. I mean, you're partnering up with some pretty heavy hitters. Many of the people who are familiar with me and with the stuff I've been doing over the past few years with Screw Big Gov and Scott McKay, Patriot Street Fighter, in this call it truth or space.
yeah.
But you're aligned with some pretty heavy hitters. So tell us about some of those people that you're hooked up with.
Yeah, so I mean, starting off right there with Screw Big Gov. I mean, Louis Herms has been absolutely amazing. We're so aligned with things that we're working on. I'm involved in a lot of different things behind the scenes, and a lot of his initiatives are really near and dear to my heart. Anything when it comes to the children is really important to me. So, um, luckily, I got to meet Louis through you. And, we were just in California with him for an event for regarding the child sex trafficking. Along at that event were some amazing people like Lee Dundas and Dr. Judy Mikovits. Dr. Judy Mikovits and I work together also, and she's really strongly behind our sweetener, and especially when she's looking at like the communities that she's dealing with, like the autistic children, because autistic children are so very sensitive to taste and texture and all of these things. But some of the things that they have to consume for their health, for their well-being, to help their bodies heal, don't have the best flavor profile. So we're working together to help introduce some things that would be
Nice.
more palatable for the children, but also to engage them to get them to take the things that they need to take. So we're working with Dr. Mike Vivitz. We're also going to be working with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. Again, all of these health warriors to really help people to take control of their own health and start reversing some of the damage. We're working with Attorney Tom Renz. We're working with President Trump's doctor. He's an amazing human being who works very closely with military vets and special ops groups. But he has an International Brain Health Institute where he's done with some of the most complicated cases of Alzheimer's, dementia, PTSD. But again, you look at what sugar does to all of those sensitive populations. So he's a very strong advocate for us, and he's bringing our sweetener into his Virginia practice and also his Florida practice.
Nice.
So again, we have people in the medical space, we have people in the metabolic health space, in the ketogenic and the carnivore space. If you look on our socials, you'll see a couple people who are starting to make carnivore recipes using the Dulsa. So for people who have very, very restrictive lifestyle diet plans, they're playing with the Dulsa because it doesn't, negatively impact any of their initiatives. And when we're looking at people in the ketogenic and the metabolic health space, Nick Norwitz is one of the most brilliant young leaders when it comes to metabolic health, and his mission is to make metabolic health mainstream. He just did a beautiful video highlighting some of the products that he uses personally for managing his own health and not trying to live in this perfect bubble of a dietary lifestyle, but ways in which you can have these things and not damage yourself. So again, we have a lot of really strong advocates in our corner, and we're always looking for more. My mission is to link arms with people such as yourself. It's like, your mission is to help people improve themselves in all aspects of life. That's my mission also. It's just my radar has always been health because again, my upbringing, the dire need to find answers for health solutions was thrown in my face since I was 5 years old. So that's just like one leg of this. But again, I just want to help people to improve in all areas, whether if it's guiding people for entrepreneurship like you are, and getting involved in a fight to, make life better, easier for the next person. We're all here for our reasons, but
Yep.
they're all very similar reasons. And again, I think there's just so much more impact if we work together in all of this, because unity truly is the answer to all of our problems.
100%.
Unifying and making people aware and, sharing our resources with everybody else.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you 100% there. There's nothing more powerful than being united, and that's one of these things that saddens my heart as you've seen society over the past, say, 20-ish or so years, that somebody who maybe think a little different or has a different ideology or a different lifestyle, that if you don't agree, you can't be friends. There's too much hatred, too much vitriol going on. We can all, I love the music. Music is huge for me, and that Prince song, Dearly Beloved. We're gathered here together today to get through this thing called life, and that's what we're doing, man. You have more knowledge than I have. Iron sharpens iron. We all can learn something from each other if we can just, agree to disagree on certain things, right? If you think differently, I can still be friends with you. I don't have to hate you, right?
Yeah,
So we need to get back to that love, love vibration. Hit steal a term from Michael Jaco. We need to get that love bubble, that love vibration going, and that's our mission in life, to turn turn the society around for a better thing.
Yeah.
Because really think about it, from our creator standpoint, our body was designed to not die. It regenerates itself. I mean, you're the cells that get replaced in your body are the numbers. I was listening to somebody tell about how often your body regenerates itself, and if it wasn't for the environmental and lifestyle situations and choices or things that we think we don't have a choice but have to participate in, if it wasn't for those things, we would live a lot longer. I mean, over past several years, the average age or the life expectancy has started to creep down a little bit, and it's maybe just starting to climb back up. But because there's more and more awareness now of some of these evil, you have to call it what it is. Evil is evil. These evil companies that are doing for money, for profit, giving us all this synthetic crap and garbage. We need to be the ones that take control of our entire situation. So I applaud you and Greg for the work that you guys do. I mean, you're endlessly traveling all over the place to get the word out. And I'm super, super excited that we got to spend some time today. As a closing, as we land this plane here, what would be your encouragement or final parting words for somebody who may be considering, never, this is like crazy talk for them. How would they, what would be the benefit for them doing Dulsa?
Yeah, well, the benefits of using Dulsa instead of traditional sugar or artificial sweeteners is something that's going to have a net positive effect on your system and not degrade your system in any form or fashion. Again, you can get nothing but benefit from using this. It's an easy switch. The flavor is outrageously delicious. I recently posted a photo of you where I think it's a clear illustration of just how good it is. Like you looked like a kid Christmas morning. Like it was beautiful. But
Yeah. What she's talking about, if you go on Instagram, the DulsaLife Instagram, you'll see a recent reel, and there's a picture of me holding the bag in my teeth. And because one of the things, I don't know if anything can be done with this. If I had one bitch about the product, is that it's very powdery, and
yeah.
so when you reach in the bag to get the scoop, you get the powder and stuff all over you. And I said, "Hey, let's have some fun." So I went and took some, and I put the powder all up on my nose like I was Hunter Biden, and had the bag. I said, "Yeah, this stuff's got a real kick." So yeah, she
Well,
used that in the reel, so that was pretty funny.
Well, just so you know, there is going to be a longer handled scoop going
Woo!
forward. So you won't have to dig quite so deep down to the bag. Now, I apologize because, of course, in shipping, it's probably going to shift a little bit, but just
Sure.
know that there is a scoop in there. And very soon, we're going to have the little sugar sachets. So, like when you go out to a coffee shop and you
Oh,
get
you
your
bring
little
your own,
packets
yeah.
of sugar. Yeah, so we are
So
working
like
on
like
the
a
sugar
little
sachets.
travel size, if you will, right?
Yeah, yeah, like little sugar packets. So
Nice.
we'll have that here soon. But yeah, there's no downside to using the sweetener. I think you're gonna find it's versatile. It tastes amazing. You're able to replace several supplements, that you're taking that might not be working all that well for you anyways. And you're gonna see that this is actually going to give you a more net positive result. And if you are taking other supplements, it's actually going to increase their bioavailability because of the fulvic minerals are going to shuttle more of those nutrients into your system. They actually bind onto them and carry into your system even better. So no downsides to this. If people are interested or if they're going to be in the Florida area, I'm going to be speaking at an event alongside General Flynn, Sherry Tenpenny, Dr. Judy Mikovits, and 20 other wonderful people like Ann Vandersteel. We're all going to be in Venice, Florida, June 21st and June 22nd at the Stay Awake America event. So definitely look that up. That's on social media. You'll find that out there. But I'm going to be at several events speaking and traveling around with Dr. Judy Mikovits and really working to get this out there. So again, anybody who's interested in linking arms and helping to, knock down big sugar, i.e., big pharma, big tobacco,
Yeah.
big ag, all those guys who work hand in hand to keep us sick and not so smart. Let's kind of collaborate and work together because
Awesome.
I'm interested in helping as many people as possible.
Amen to that. No, I appreciate you taking some time today. Again, you can go to dulsalife.com/poppy and get a discount. There's research, all the there's a bunch of stuff you can learn more about it. I learned some stuff today just by talking to you. I wasn't aware of the mineral aspect of this thing. I was the probiotic and the prebiotic. I understood that, but I didn't completely comprehend the enhancement of the mineral aspect of it, and that's a huge deficiency. A lot of people take vitamins
Yeah.
and supplements, but the mineral thing just kind of goes over a lot of people's heads, and we don't think
Yep.
about it too much. But those are just as important as some of the vitamins that we look to consume through supplementation. So that's super
Yeah.
exciting. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, go to DulsaLife.com. Just go on any social, Facebook, Instagram, and eventually TikTok. Should get somebody to
Yeah.
figure it out for. Just at Dulsa Life, right?
Yep.
At
Yep.
Dulsa Life on any of the
All one
socials,
word.
all one word.
Yep.
I'll find out the links of each of the socials, and I will put it in the description of the video, make it a little easier for people, because I know sometimes people have a lack of initiative of going and searching things out. So I'll make it as easy as possible for you guys to get some of this product in your life, and you'll be better for it. So thanks, Natalie. Tell Greg I said hello, and look forward to seeing you guys very soon.
Awesome. Take great care. We'll see you soon, Poppy.
Bruce Poppy Show. Remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Have a great one.